What's up, everyone? We have a very special edition of Live from Redhook tonight. It's Thursday night. Normally we do our Tuesday night show, but we have a very special guest DJ who's in the States. He came in from the UK. He's playing tonight at the Panther Room at Output. I'd like to welcome to the show Josh Butler.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Welcome to Brooklyn.
Good to be here.
Literally
Off the plane.
an hour.
Yeah, a couple of hours tops. I got off the plane, went to my mate's flat, had a quick shower, and then drove straight in.
Good thing you
Here
showered.
we are.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
you don't want me on here stinking, do you?
What was that trip like? You had like a layover somewhere? Did you?
Yeah, there was a connection in Brussels and a couple of hours delay, but it's nothing too heavy. It's easy enough.
Yeah, all right.
How often are you traveling?
At the moment, every weekend.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, over Christmas it was a little bit quieter, like during January, and then things slowly start to pick up again, and just weekends away here and there. A lot of stuff in Europe, and then now obviously the States this weekend. I've got Australia and New Zealand next weekend.
So this isn't your first time in the States?
No, this
Okay.
is I think this is the 4th time I've played over here.
So when the first time you came to the States, where did you play?
First time was Winter Music Conference in Miami.
Oh, nice.
I played for MTA.
That's a good intro into the US.
There was a lot going on that week, obviously.
Yeah.
Variety of different styles of music. And the label that I was with at the time, MTA, Chase and Status's label, they were releasing all sorts of music from drum and bass to house.
Yep.
So it was nice to be on like a varied lineup, you know.
So were you pumped for that first go at
Yeah,
Winter Music
that
Conference?
was a big deal for me then. Yeah. But it's a pleasure to be coming back year after year.
Sure.
So you have a ton of stuff lined up. Now you have Australia coming up. You have Ibiza.
Yeah, loads of stuff in Ibiza this summer.
Nice.
Going to be regular guest at Do Not Sleep, Darius Sarosian's party.
Yep.
Along with Cuckoo Land, the same sort of organisers, and Defected as well. The Defected are at Eden this year in San Antonio. So I've been releasing a few records with those guys at Defected. So it makes sense to be doing a few parties with them.
So how do you deal with the grind of traveling and DJing at all these different venues and places? Does it wear on you at times, or how do you deal with that?
I mean, it can be tiring, but I haven't really got any space to moan about it. There's a lot worse things I could be doing with my life.
Yes.
Just got to sort of make the most of it. I signed up for this, so it makes it all worth it when you get on the decks. And
when did you decide that you were going to put your signature on being a DJ? Like, how did that whole thing come about for you?
Well, I got into music production first at about the age of 12.
Wow.
And I obviously didn't know there was a career to be made of it or anything. I didn't know you could make money off it back then.
So producing like house music, dance music?
It was quite basic stuff at the time. There was a game on the PlayStation called Music 2000. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was just like pre-made samples that you could arrange on a simple sequencer. But I was using that for a few months. I was just a kid playing around and loved it. So moved on to Reason on the computer, started programming more stuff and getting a bit further, digging a bit deeper with it all.
So how do you find the time to produce, like with all the traveling with working DJing? Where are you doing your production?
Yeah, well, I'm making tunes on the road on my laptop, but they're like basic demos. So I'll sketch an idea in Ableton on my laptop, and then when I get back home into the studio, it will be mixing it and arranging fully and refining the ideas.
Nice.
So do you do compilations? Do you work with other producers in doing some tracks?
Yeah. I actually did a collaboration series on my own label quite recently.
What's the name of your label?
It's Origins Records.
Origins Records.
So the idea was mainly US house music. I've got quite friendly with people like Marshall Jefferson and Todd Terry and Kerry Chandler over the years.
Yep.
So I asked them if they wanted to do some collaborations, and luckily they all said yes. So put together 4 tracks, one with Todd, one with Marshall, one with Robert Owens, and then one with Kerry, which is going to be the next one.
So was it first time getting into a studio with guys like that? Was there like an intimidation factor for you?
Not really. Well, with Marshall, it was quite funny. I met his manager at ADE, and I was under the impression that Marshall still lived in the States, but it turned out he lives 20 minutes away from me in Manchester. So we ended up going for dinner for a few times and just getting to know each other before we even talked about making music. Just wanted to get to know the guy.
Sure.
And we really got along, and then it was like, well, should we make some tunes? And it just, it came together quite naturally, I think.
So you put these records out?
Yes, the first 3.
Okay, cool.
In a series called The Heroes of House.
Nice, and that's on Origins.
Yes. Yeah.
So how long have you had Origin Records?
I think we launched in September.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's been a while. It's been in the works for over a year, but the releases have slowly just started trickling through, and we're still in the top 10. The last release is in the top 10 on Beatport.
Yep.
Just been knocked off the #1 spot by Camel Fat yesterday.
So number one record on Beatport is huge.
The third release on the label, #1. It was up there for nearly 4 weeks, so pretty happy with that.
So I'm sure that helps out on the gigging front, right? #1 record, people are recognizing that, obviously, being on Beatport, so that must be helping on the bookings,
for sure,
right?
No doubt.
That's
so
great.
Before you started your label, what are some of the other labels that you were putting music out on?
I was working with, as I mentioned before, MTA. That was the first one, really. I've been working with Joris Vaughan on his Rejected records, Do Not Sleep, and Avotra. There's been quite a few releases over the years now with different labels. I've just wanted to work with people that I've got to know in the scene and got friendly with, and just work with people that I get along with, really.
So I know one of the things that Todd talked to us about when he was on the show is in his producing, putting out records, he had a bunch of different aliases that he would go out under. Do you put out any records under any different aliases, or?
Not at the moment. I have done in the past.
Okay.
And do plan to again. But at the moment, because touring's quite heavy at the moment.
Yep.
I've just been focusing on the Josh Butler side of things.
Sure.
And obviously with the label as well, and working with all those guys, it's been quite time consuming. Just want to make sure that that's my priority at the moment.
So who helps you on the label front? Like, DJing, producing, running a record label, you have to eat also and sleep.
Yeah.
So how do you, do you have help on?
Look, Ollie, my manager, takes care of the label side of things as well. He's run a few quite big labels in the past.
Okay.
So it's in quite capable hands.
All right, that's great.
So Ollie not living in the UK and living in the States, how do you guys get stuff done?
Yeah, Ollie's living in LA at the moment. But yeah, we work around it, work around the time differences, and just Skype nearly every day, and
a lot of FaceTiming.
Yeah, WhatsApping all the time. It's we're quite close.
That's good. So what goes into preparation when you're playing your sets? I mean, you play all different types of venues. You've played festivals.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously big rooms, small rooms. What's your mental thought process in putting together your music selection?
Well, there's never really a set list before a gig.
Yep.
I'll have like playlists with music in, and I'll know roughly where each track is, just from a mental note, and I'll have an idea of what I want to play. But I won't plan anything as such. I'll sort of feed off the crowd, and if one style isn't quite working and I feel like it needs to be shifted up, then I can take it in any direction it needs to be.
Okay, and do you feel, have you ever been faced with situations, maybe in a different country or something, where, like...
Oh, yeah. On Saturday, and I played in Dubai. Oh, no, it was last Friday. Played in Dubai, and that was an interesting gig, to say the least. Yeah, so I played a little bit differently. I played a few classics in there, just try and keep people going. But, yeah, that was a tough one.
Well, I mean, sometimes you're going to run into those, right? I mean,
of course, yeah. I think I was due one because I've had a pretty good run over the last few years.
That's going to happen, and you just got to sort of accept them, right?
Yeah, that's it.
It's so that's great. So you have some Ibiza residencies that are going to be coming up this summer.
Yeah, playing for Defected, like I mentioned.
Yep.
Do Not Sleep, which is going to be at Sankey's.
Yep.
And Cuckoo Land, which is at Ibiza Rocks.
How do you like playing in Ibiza?
It's probably the best place in the world for dance music.
So is that
so
like
it's like, I don't know, yeah. At Sankey's especially. I was a resident for Sankey's last year. And yeah, some incredible nights in there. It's just people from all around the world, all four corners of the globe, gather in Ibiza, tiny Spanish island, all for the same reason, just to listen to the cutting edge of dance music.
the home of house music?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the States is the home of house music.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is. I think you've seen a transition in the States over the last.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the United States never used to have big music festivals. So that's something that's happened over the last 5 to 7 years.
With the EDM movement.
Yeah, with the
I
EDM
think
movement.
it's taken a long, even though you guys invented this in Chicago in the late 70s and early 80s. It's taken a long time for the commercial or the vast majority of people to understand it and get to grips with what house music is. Like you said, the EDM explosion has definitely helped that. It's opened people's eyes to dance music.
Yep.
And now I think a lot of people want to dig a little bit deeper and if they're bored of all the big hands in the air records, they might want to, look for something a bit more mature sounding.
Yeah, I think it's just a natural progression, right? You're having the young kids who are getting introduced to like that big festival scene.
Yeah, it's an entry level, isn't it?
Yep.
Right, and then over time
And then they graduate.
they graduate and
Yeah,
like
I like that.
Yeah.
yeah, and then they start going and then they start recognizing and like, wow, this DJ's really
Well,
good.
they start doing some research also. They
Yes.
start going and like, wow, where did this come from? And start
Yeah.
listening to the old school DJs.
I think a lot of them would be surprised to realize it was invented in Chicago and
Yep.
it came out of a very small scene over there.
And then when like we were talking about obviously before the show started about the movements in Brooklyn and what's taking place in all the different sections of Brooklyn. But you actually have these parties where people are going to hear the DJ and they're actually dancing as opposed to just standing and
Yeah.
staring at the DJ.
You should really
or staring at their phones.
Yeah.
get that a lot, too.
I think you get that in a lot of places though. There's too many phones in clubs these days.
They gotta
I
have a
think there should
phone
be-
check.
There should
a
be
phone
some
check.
more like signal barriers on the roof of clubs.
Well, it's funny because at Output,
There's no service.
the service is
Good.
like pretty
Music to my ears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also, if they see you, like obviously people are sneaking video on their phones, but if they see you doing that, they immediately stop you.
Really, they've got
Yeah.
the Berghain type of thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
So talk to us about your gigs this weekend. So tonight you're kicking off.
Tonight at the Panther Room of Output,
Yep.
which is my first time in Output, so it should be good fun. Then tomorrow, fly straight to San Francisco to play Halcyon. is
Yep.
it?
So wait, this is your first time playing Output. Wait until you hear the
Yes.
sound system in there.
I have been there before,
Oh, okay.
but I just haven't played there yet. The last time I was in Brooklyn was when Verboten was still going, so
Yeah.
I played there,
Oh, you played there.
which was a great venue as well.
Yeah. That's where
Um,
people are actually dancing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're getting
Now
down
it's
there.
called Skamanski's. It's actually really
Yeah, I
good.
remember you saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then anyway, on Saturday I go to San Diego for Spin, which is looking really good, shaping up pretty well.
Nice.
So
And then back to the UK.
yeah, but we're back to London for a few days, and it's the Brighton Music Conference next week. So there's a.
So you're
like a
keeping
big
busy,
gathering
man. That's
there.
good.
Yeah, it's a hectic schedule.
So Josh Butler is a busy individual, producing, gigging, record label,
Modeling.
Steady on.
and he's thankful for Ali, his manager, who's sort of keeping him
everything in place.
Yeah, he keeps me under control.
Are you signed to a DJ agency?
Yeah, so I work with David at Air London. They have Darius Syrossian on there, and Timo Maas, Nick Curley. There's some Matthias Tansman, some really good names on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we actually had the pleasure of hearing Darius when the Do Not Sleep Ibiza party came to Brooklyn.
Oh, nice one.
A few months ago.
Yep.
How was
So
it?
It was pretty
Yeah.
intense. Yeah. He was
He's
going
a
strong.
good DJ.
He's a great
he
DJ.
really
Yeah.
is.
He's helped
Yeah.
me out a lot over the years, Darius. He's
He
been
actually
an influence
played.
for me.
He actually played that night with Kenny Dope. It was him
Oh,
and Kenny Dope.
I remember seeing the lineup
Yeah.
for that, actually, yeah.
Yeah, he played with Kenny, and there was a couple other DJs that played
Yep.
as well. So that's great. Well, tonight you're at the Panther Room. That party is being brought to you by Biohazard,
Yep.
Gene and the whole crew.
Yeah.
And he actually set this up for us, so we're appreciative
Thank
of
you,
that.
Gene.
And we're actually really excited that you took the time out to come to the Function House.
Pleasure.
And I think you're going to enjoy, playing for us
Yeah.
and playing for the world.
All right, so we're gonna take a 2-minute break, and we're gonna get Josh Butler up on the CDJs. Peace.